Hello, this is video training, service, level 1, chapter 2. What we'll be covering in chapter 2 is creating a work order, creating and updating user-defined records, changing option descriptions. Let's begin. From the main menu, we'll select service or type S. Okay, we have two buttons here, begin RO, begin update RO. What the difference between those two are. Begin RO will take you through a sequence of events. For example, if a customer comes walking in the door, it gives you the ability to create all the information about the customer, create all the information about the product that he wants you to work on, find out what he wants you to do on the product, print out what we call a work order. It'll assign a number to that work order, print out a work order. Normally 2 copies are printed. 1 copy the customer signs with your disclaimer on it. Another copy you will hand to the customer. Now that work order has been created, you'll be going in and adding parts and time and so forth and be billing it out at a later date. That's option 1, begin RO. Option 3, begin update close RO. Does basically the exact same thing. Does all the same capabilities except for one difference. It will not print out a work order. It goes right to the bill. Why would you want to use that if there's no need to print out a work order? Where all you really want to do is just go right in, say what you did, print the bill out, and that's it. That's what this will do. Okay, let's go in to begin RO. Now RO is a term that we use called repair order. Begin RO. It's exactly the same as the POTS system. Assuming that you have taken training on level 1 of POTS, you know what this screen looks like. It's basically this similar screen. It wants to know who's the customer we're looking for. Let's take an example, a first example of a customer that's never been here before. Typically, this is what you're going to be doing. You've got a new piece of software. There are no customers. There are no product information. You're starting from scratch. So let's type in somebody who's never been here before. I'm going to start off typing a telephone number. Now, many customers use telephone numbers because it's very convenient. You ask somebody the telephone number. If the number's out there, you don't have to worry about asking what's your name, I forgot your name, how do you spell it, all those kind of good things. So by typing in a telephone number, it goes right to that customer. If that customer has one product, it will go right to that one product. If the customer has more than one product, it'll list all the products that you've worked on with that telephone number, and you can pick and choose which one it is. This is a generic lookup, so you could type in a registration number. You can type in anything you have on file. But let's start off typing in a telephone number. Now, I know this customer is not in my system, so what it's going to do, it's going to directly go to a lookup, exactly what we did in POTS. I have other options here where maybe I want to search a little bit more. What it's doing here is it's trying to find this number right here, which is not out there. I could search by name. I can search by keyword. Keyword searches everything. I know this customer is not here. So just like the POTS system, I'm going to hit the escape key or exit. When you exit a lookup program, it basically says you didn't select any particular person, so I assume you want to add somebody new. And the default is yes. As we talked about in inventory training, the default, you can hit the enter key. You don't need to type in a Y or an N. You can just hit the enter key because that's what most customers want to do. So I'll select yes. I want to add this customer to my permanent database, and this is the same exact screen that we saw in the POTS system. There again, if you need help, click help. It'll tell you what all the different fields are. There's no information about his product. This is just the information about the customer. Obviously, customer code, we've gone over that already. It's just categorizing your customers. It's used for doing emails and reports. Alpha, you normally would leave blank if it's a customer's name. It's going to take his last name and sort that alphabetically. If it's a business, you may want to fill it in. If I've got a company that I'm doing work for called The Supply Shop, and I leave that blank, it's going to take the word shop and assume that's the last name and sort it alphabetically by shop. If it's a business and the name of it is The Supply Shop, I may want to sort it by the. So that's the only time you'd fill it in. Let's type in a customer's name, John Jones. How's that? And I'll hit the enter key. Well, There again, if you make a misspelling like I did, you can easily correct it. And now hit the Enter key. You can enter tab, use the mouse, whatever you prefer. Probably just hitting enter or tab is the easiest way to navigate it. I'm going to put an address and maybe a city here, and we're going to have a state, and we're going to do our zip code. And there again, if you use the telephone number, it'll be put in there for you automatically. You've got contact. This is a very important field. And there again, if you're not sure about this information, the best thing to do is enter the name and at least the email address, because the system has email capabilities. Obviously, when the work order is done, it'll automatically email them if you wish. Let the customer know it's done. It can't email anybody anything if you don't have the email address. So let's put an email address down here. Okay, that's all I'm going to put for now. Now, one other thing I want to mention while we're here is this customer is allowed to charge. You need to click here, allow charges, and set the credit limit. So that can only be done by employees that have that capability. Not all employees may have the capability to allow credit. If they have, then you could allow credit and then obviously set the credit limit. Birth date is something that's used. The system does have the ability to email like a birthday card and things like that. So if you have that filled in, you can take advantage of some of those things. Let's just hit F4 to add. OK to add. My customer information is now in the system. Now, that information now is shared. My parts department, if this customer comes in to buy parts, he'll be in there. If he comes in to get a quote on a new unit, he'll be in the system already. So we have added all the information about our customer that's going to be shared by all the other modules. Let's hit escape. Now it's asking me, okay, let's copy all that to our service module, and we have the address, we have all the customer information up here, obviously. If I want to go back and change anything, I can click on this button here. Now it's asking me, okay, tell me something about what we're working on here. What is the product? Our first question it's asking me is the VIN number. Most customers, if you ask them a VIN number, they're probably not going to know what it is. So let's just leave that blank. We'll fill that in later. Next question is the make. This was done in Chapter 1, creating a make file, and is all our makes. Now it's a standard Windows drop-down. You can click on what you want it to be, or if you just type in a letter, it's going to go exactly where you want it to be. Like if I typed in Yamaha, it'll say Yamaha. That's our make file. Here's our product file. Okay, we know it's a Yamaha. What is it? Is it a jet ski? Is it a jet boat? Is it a generator? Yamaha sells lots of products. What product are we working on? This is that product file that we created. There again, that was in Chapter 1. So these are the files that you created in Chapter 1. There's our make, there's our product. Let's just say, we'll just say it's a little jet boat. Now what's the model? If the customer knows what the model is, obviously you type it in. If not, you can type this in later. If you want to give it a little bit more meaningful description, fine, you can give it a description. The year obviously is self-explanatory. Option 1, Option 2, Option 3, and Option 4, as you see right here. Those are fields that we allow the customer to find what they want them to be. That's why they just say Option 1, Option 2. When we're done, we're going to be going over how to set that up and how to change the names. For example, you may not want that to say Option 1. That doesn't mean anything to me. What I may want it to say is registration number. That's where I'm going to key my registration number in for the product. Maybe Option 2, I want it to be whatever, color. So you can make those descriptions whatever you want. Now, once you change those descriptions, it'll change on the screen here, and we'll be going over that later on in this chapter. And it also will print whatever you key for a description on all your bills and all your work orders. Okay. Over here, obviously, you're going to have your work phone number. This is for scheduling. We're not going to be going over the scheduling system, but there again, if you click on one of these dates, it's basically saying, okay, when do you plan on dropping it off? It defaults to today, and it's looking at my schedule to see if there's any other jobs that we're working on, what's going on. We're going to be not covering this today. There again, what we want to do is just start off with the basics, just creating a work order, putting the customer information in, and that's what we're going to be starting off with. We're going to get more sophisticated as we go on with schedules and so forth. The first date is the date that the customer is dropping it off. It assumes that he's dropping it off when you're talking to him. It assumes that this is the time. This is when you expect to have it done. And there again, you can type in a date or you can select the date. I think he wants to have it on the 21st. And this is the time the customer expects to pick it up. Okay, that's all we're going to do for now, and we're going to hit F12. And what the system's telling me is I didn't create a stock number for this unit. Now the system will automatically generate one, which is what most customers do. You know, we recommend let the system do it. It's basically just a unique number that basically keeps this separate from any other product. If the unit was put into your service department, it would already automatically be there. We're just going to say yes. If you want a key in your own, obviously you would say no, and it'll ask you what you want it to be. You can't have two units with the same stock number. So I auto-generated one. Now all the information is in the system as up to this point. We have the information about the customer. We have whatever we put in about the product. Now it's asking me, what is it do you want us to do? Now this is a brand new customer. Keep that in mind. We don't have any history, but this is categorized into three major sections. This section here has to do with the customer and any history that we have on that customer. For example, clicking on this button brings up the history of the customer. Everything this customer has done. We can look here and see what he's done in pots, everything he's done from any module that he's done. This right here looks at the history of this one particular unit that we're working on. Well, he's a brand new customer. You don't have any history. This right here goes to my user-defined template. We're going to be covering that later. And that gives you the advantage of, there again, when you tell the system what type of product it is, you have the ability to say, I want more information. This is what I want to keep. Like, for example, I said it was a boat. This is what I want to keep track of for a boat. If it's a motorcycle, I might have a totally different screen. I have 3 pages of information here. We'll be going over that later. This goes back to our initial screen. Okay, over here it allows me to check inventory. That happens a lot in the service. Somebody's dropped something off. They just want to ask a quick question. Hey, do you have a certain prop in stock? Do you have a certain tire in stock? Can you tell me how much it's going to cost before I make a decision? Well, if you hit pot lookup, there again, assuming you've taken level 1 of the inventory system, you know how to use this screen. Let's just look at a certain size prop. Okay. There's, I have 3 of them. I have a stainless steel for 436. I have rebuilt for 66. I have a aluminum one for 145. Suppose I'm looking for a certain size tire. Or suppose I want all my tires. Keyword, sorry. And there again, so you can find out anything you want. I want all my props. So it allows you to check inventory, give a customer a price if you need to. Okay, the next category is what does this customer want me to do? Now we're going to be going in after we're done here, and we're going to be looking up a customer with some history. But right now we've got a brand new customer. He's never been here before. So we're going to be pretty much doing everything kind of in a manual mode. We don't have any history to work from. We're going to hit Enter Job Description. Now let's just talk about this screen for a couple of seconds. The first question is job code. What's a job code? You can leave it blank and the computer will automatically assign a job code. Job code allows you to put multiple jobs on one work order. I might have 2 or 3 different jobs on one work order. Also, it's a way to categorize jobs. For example, maybe I want to get reports, and it's important that I want to know how much money am I making on tune-ups? How much money am I making on winterizations? How much money am I making on certain categories of jobs? So that, you can set up job codes like T/U might be tune-ups. So all my tune-ups are going to be T/U. That way I know, okay, how much money am I making on tune-ups? So that's what a job code is for. I'm going to leave it blank, and I'm just going to put a description. Hey, my mode is not running. Okay, and that may be good enough. Now I'm going to hit the Enter key or the Tab key. Now the next question is, what type of job is this? Is it hourly? Is it flat? Is it hourly past the bill, flat past the bill, quantity past the bill? Let's talk about these options. Now, there's a default in the system. When you filled out that setup sheet, one of the questions on that setup sheet was, what is your most common job? Is it hourly? Is it flat? What is it? And so it's important to have these defaults set properly so you don't have to work as hard. The whole system is designed so you don't have to work harder than you have to. You want to streamline it so you do the least amount of keystrokes. If most of your jobs are hourly, you want to tell a computer so it automatically checkmark one of these jobs. I don't have anything checkmarked, which means I don't have it set as a default. Even if my jobs are 50-50 hourly and flat, heck, make one of them the default, so 50% of the time you don't have to do anything. What's the difference between hourly and flat versus hourly and flat past the bill? The difference is this, is that past the bill is the key. If I just say hourly or I just say flat, it's basically telling the system that this is just going to be an hourly job. I don't know how long it's going to take. I have no clue. I don't even want to even estimate how long it's going to take. I just want to take whatever I type in here with my description, print the work order out, have it actually go to the bill, and I will evaluate how many hours I want to charge at that particular time. Flat is the same thing, just takes all the verbiage that I type, puts it on the work order, and then puts it over to the bill. When it's on the bill, I mean, I can change it, modify it. At that time, I'm going to put some type of a price. If you say hourly past the bill, flat past the bill, what that's going to do, it's going to ask me, okay, how long do you think it's going to take? I think this is going to, I may say to the customer, you know what, I'm not really sure. I think it's going to be 2 hours, and our standard hourly rate is $85. It may be more. I'm not really quoting you it's going to be 2 hours. I'm just saying it might be 2. Now, the customer will not see any dollar amount, but at least it lets the mechanic know or lets whoever knows that working on this job that you basically estimated it would be about 2 hours. It also will put that on there as a charge. Now, you may want to change it. You can change it to whatever you want, but it will pass it to the bill. Same thing with flat. It'll ask me one more question. Okay, I may just say, look, I think it's going to be about $100. It'll put that $100 onto the bill. It'll put down what you think it's going to take. And there again, you can change it anytime you want. Quantity past the bill is if you're doing a job. For example, if I was painting the bottom of the boat, and maybe to paint the bottom of a boat, I get $10 a foot. Well, it's going to ask you, all right, how many feet? And I'd put in 25, and it's going to multiply it out. Or if I was changing tires and I get $50 a tire, it's going to say how many tires? Well, I've got 2. Okay, it'll be $100. So that's what the difference is. Let's just do an hourly past the bill. Now, if it was defaulted, it would be automatically checkmarked there. If not, you can hit the space bar or you can just use the mouse. And because it's hourly, it's going to say, okay, you said hourly past the bill. What do you think it's going to be? I think it's going to be 2 hours. My standard hourly rate, there again, that was set up when you filled out that setup sheet. So, that's very important that you don't skip that part of filling out your setup sheet because this is where all this information is coming from. Now I'm going to hit the Enter key again or Tab key, and now it's saying, okay, are there anything else you want to tell me to help me figure out what's going on? Maybe the motor's not running, but can you give me what's happening? Well, maybe it's, it cuts out at 3,000 RPMs. Okay. Now, you don't want to watch me type, but you can type in a novel. You can type in as much as you want. Now, this screen right here will automatically word wrap, so you don't have to worry about, like for example, if I'm typing here and I'm just going to be typing here, it'll automatically, word wrap and do what it needs to do. Now, when you're done filling this in, you have a couple of other options here. If I hit escape, it basically says I don't want to save anything. It's going to ignore everything I just typed. If the customer says, forget about it, I changed my mind, I'm just going to hit the escape key. Nothing will happen. If I hit this key right here, F9, it's going to take all that information and put it on that work order that we're creating. I can still modify it later. If I want to add parts and pull parts out of inventory right now and put them on this particular job, I can also do that. Let's just hit F9. Here's our first job. 2 hours at $85 an hour is $170. That's basically just giving a rough idea of what it's going to cost. Maybe the customer says, okay, there's one other job I need to have done too. So there again, let's click here. And I'm going to leave that blank, and I'm just going to call this here, we'll just call it fix it. And maybe this one here, we're going to say flat pass the bill. And I'm just going to say, look at, we're going to charge you $50 just to look at it. And all we're going to do is we're going to check it out. And there again, I'm going to hit F9, add this to my system, and now I have 2 jobs. Now, if you read what it says here, select line, left click to change the job, right click to add a private note. What's a private note? Well, a private note is something that when we print this work order out, everything that we type here, everything you see on the screen is also going to print out on the work order. It's not going to have the dollar amount, but it's going to basically just have the estimated time. So if I want a note that all I want the mechanic to see, I don't want the customer to see it. Maybe I want to put some type of, there again, a private note. That's what a right click is for. If I right click here, this is a private note that only the mechanic's going to see. And there again, you can type in whatever you want. It'll automatically word wrap, and it's exactly the same thing. I hit F9, that note now is going to get attached to that job. Private. Customer's never going to see it. If I hit escape, it's not going to do anything. So let's just do it. So now that's in there. Now you see a little Y. What that Y means is there's a private note there. There's a note here that maybe somebody needs to look at. If you want to change something, like I'll click on this job. There again, we can make any change we want. We can add to this description. And there again, this has complete cut and paste capabilities. If you want to say, gee, I want to copy that and I want to move it down here. Maybe I want to cut that out here. There again, it's standard Windows. You can cut and paste, do whatever you want. If I change my mind and said, you know what, I want to change this to a flat rate job, I can change anything I wish here. Hit F9, and now there's the changes I made to the job. Now, secondly, if the customer says, well, I changed my mind, I don't want you to do that. There again, you can click on it, and you can delete a job. So whether you want to delete a job, whether you want to just change something here, maybe just remembered something else that he wants to tell you, there again. So we have 2 jobs on here. Okay, let's keep it simple. That's all we're going to do. This is what he wants us to do. I'm going to print and create a work order. Now, if I hit cancel here, what the cancel will do, it'll basically not create a work order, but it will not delete all the information I put in. So basically, all the information I put in about the customer is still going to be there. All the information I put in about his product is still going to be there. It's not going to go away. The only thing that's going to go away is what I just put on the screen right here. If the customer just said, I changed my mind, I don't want to spend $510, it's not going to create a work order called 718. It's just going to cancel it. In this case, we're going to create a work order. At this time, the work order is going to print. Now, our work orders, there again, you can control pretty much how they look. This would be your logo here. Now, if you haven't had your logo set up yet, what it's going to look like is it's just going to be pretty vanilla plain. It's going to have printed out the name of your business and your address and so forth. You can have a bitmap. You can have this very fancy if you wish. This is what we call a watermark versus Wallace Software Design. Some customers like watermarks. You can have your watermark set up for you if you wish. If not, it just won't be there. It will be plain. This is the 2 jobs that we've got. And basically, this one here is supposed to take 2 hours. Here's what we're supposed to do. There's the description. There's the next job. Down here is our disclaimer. Now, this is an option. There again, when you filled out that setup sheet, this is an option that you filled out. You have an option of saying, I want a dollar amount estimate printed on a work order, or I don't. By and large, most customers don't want the dollar amount printed on a work order. So, if it's printing, you need to give us a call and say, okay, it looks like I've got an option set not the way I want. This is the date that the customer is supposed to drop it off, and this is the time that you basically said, okay, well, going to try to have it done at that time. Whether we do or not is another story, but that's what we're going to try to do there. So these bills are very flexible. Also, this option 1, option 2, 3, and 4. Those are things that we're going to change the names of those to say what you want to be. So they'll be saying something different as we go along here. So what we did here is we just went in and created a brand new customer, put all the information about the customer, put all the information about his product that we've never seen before, and created a work order. Now that work order is in the pipeline, and now we can add parts to it, we can add labor to it. Whether the work order takes a day, a week, a month, 2 months, it really doesn't matter. All right, let's go in and do another one. This time I want to do one for a customer that's been there before. So let's take a customer and we're just going to do, how about this guy right here? I'm going to do Bird. And there again, you can type in a telephone number or you can just type in the name. How about we do a telephone number? Now here's a customer that has more than one product. He has a Toro lawnmower right there at the very top. I typed in his telephone number, which is right here, and his 2 products that he has. The Toro lawnmower, and he has a 4Winds. Well, let's just do this 4Winds. I'm going to click Enter. That's what we're working on. It has all the information. It knows exactly what we have. Here's his 4Winds. Here's the information about his product. Here's the address of the customer. If the customer says, well, can you go to my house and pick it up? There again, we can click on Get Directions. That will automatically call MapQuest. It'll automatically print the directions on how to get to his house. Tell you how long it's going to take. There again, we're not going to do scheduling right now. We're just going to look at this. So for an existing customer, you're typically just going to verify, are you still live in the same address? You're still, we're still working on the same product. Now, if the customer said, oh, wait a minute, I bought a new product. Maybe I bought a motorcycle. Well, you would just click here, Add New Unit. What that'll do, obviously, same customer, he might have just bought another unit. And you'd click Add Unit, it would clear all this, and we would just do the same thing as we did prior, add all the unit information. But let's just take the normal sequence of events. Okay, everything's fine here. He wants us to work on his product. I'm going to say Update. Okay, so now we can actually look at some history, because this is an existing customer. Obviously, you just got the software. You don't have a lot of history, but we want you to know this is where you're going to be heading. So now I can do a couple of things. If I just want to see the history of this one particular unit, and there again, he has 2, but we're only looking at 1 right now. We're just looking at this one here. I'm going to hit Look Up History. Well, we've worked on this particular product 3 different times. Total number of ROs, 3. Total number that we charge for those 3 is $1,900. The very first RO was back in 2000. The very last RO was 10/25/07. If you look at the screen here, this is what we did on the last RO. It always shows you the last one. I can page up or page down to look at every single one. Obviously, if you look at yellow, yellow is highlighting something for me. I had a comment the last time I worked on this person's product that basically says, hey, your prop was bad. We told you about it. You didn't have any money. You're short on cash, so you're going to fix it later. So maybe I want to mention that to him right now. Maybe I want to say, oh, by the way, did you ever fix that prop? Oh, the tire was bad. Your brakes were bad. Did you ever fix that? So it's kind of a reminder, so you may want to mention it to the customer right up front. Also, there was a sublet charge. Also, we did 2 jobs here. There's job number 1, we charged $300. There's the detail of what we did. Job number 2, there's the detail, and there's the parts we used. If I hit page up, it goes down, and I can thumb through every single job we've done and see the detail for each job. There's the one in 2000. There's the one in November of 2000. If I want, I can do this here. If you hit print, and many people do this for, especially if you got mechanical type problems, it'll print out the whole history of this particular unit. It makes it very valuable when you're working on an issue and you're saying, well, gee, I don't know, the motor's still not running too good. Well, you know what, I replaced plugs over here. Let me see, the last time we did a coil. Well, we did a coil. When was that done? That was done in 2000. So, you can kind of, makes people more productive when they can see what's been done already. Maybe you may look at the history and say, you know what, we've done coils, we've replaced the wires. Maybe we're going to try, putting a new carburetor on. So there again, that's looking at the history of this one particular unit. This is looking at the customer information. For example, maybe he says, well, my telephone number changed. Well, you'd click here. Maybe he says my cell phone number changed. Okay, well, you've got that here. Maybe he says, look at, I bought some pots the other day, and you want to just check here, detail. This tells me everything this customer has ever done. This is service. Those are those service work orders that we worked on. This is a POTS invoice. You know, if he said, well, I bought something, well, here's what you bought. You know, I can reprint the invoice. I can look at anything I want to know about this customer. If the customer says, well, look, I'm thinking about having a new battery put on, but I don't know how old my battery is. I bought it from you, but I bought it over the counter. You know, I didn't, I put it in myself. Well, there again, you know, we went over this in inventory. This is all part of level 2 inventory, which it's a good idea to check out. I'm going to do a keyword lookup. I'm going to have tell the computer to look for a battery. This goes through and looks through his history. When I'm looking for his history now, I'm not just looking at service. I'm looking at everything. You know, I'm looking at POTS invoices, service, new unit sales, whatever. It's telling me that he did buy a battery from me. He bought 2 of them, and it was back in 2001. There's the person that sold it to him. It was a POTS invoice, not a service. You know, so when you're doing a search and you want to find out if somebody did something, you know, suppose I type in plug. There again, notice this here. He bought plugs 6 different times. These are work orders. When you see a number, that's work order 595. 596, work order 715. This is the date it was done. This is the person that closed it out. Here's what we charged him for those plugs. He also bought them over the counter. These are POTS invoices. And there again, we've gone over this in the inventory training. Okay, so you can find out pretty much anything you want about a particular customer. And that's looking at customer information, everything. This is just looking at this particular unit. This is just looking at all the user-defined information about this unit. Like there again, on my template, I've got the name of his boat. I've got this. Now, whether it be a motorcycle or a boat, it would be a totally different screen set up by you. And we're going to be covering that in a little while. This goes back to the initial information where I've VIN numbers and all that kind of good stuff. Back here, looking at POTS. But now let's do something a little bit different here, just to show you some capabilities that you do have. For example, suppose the customer says to me, you know what, whatever you did last time, you know, you did a tune-up, I just want you to do it again. So I'm going to click History. Now, we looked at that screen. It has a couple of things here. One is select line for job detail and notes. In other words, there'd be a Y over here if I had any more detail, which I don't. So you could select it and see what maybe the mechanic typed in on any notes that he might have put in. Or right-click to load as a new job. For example, suppose this customer said, look, you worked on this, well, in this case, it was back in 2007. I just want you to do it again. Whatever you did, do it again. Well, I'm going to right-click here, and I'm going to pick the tune-up. Let's just say he wants me to do that again. And I can go back in as far as I want. But I'm going to right-click this. When I right-click it, now it comes up and says, okay, the last time you did this job is the POTS you used. It's showing me the POTS. So what's going to be nice about this is as you start using the service package, it's creating history of everything you do. As you work on a job and you start adding POTS, it remembers that. It doesn't forget anything. So next time you work on that job, it's going to say these are the POTS you need to go get for that job. Now what it does tell me, so I can check things out the minute the customer says, I want you to do that. I know the POTS I need to get. I need 8 of those. I can see if I have them in stock or not, and I know exactly what they're going to cost. Now I have an option. I can pull them out of inventory right now when I'm beginning the job, which means I should go back and pull them out of inventory, obviously, and put them in a box so when somebody's ready to work on it, we're already ready to go. Or what's even more important is to check my inventory. If I don't have any POTS, like I do have all these POTS, so it's not a problem. But if I don't have any of these POTS, I would most certainly want to select it. so I can special order it. So if I select it and I don't have it, the computer's going to ask me, all right, do you want to have it go into an order so that when somebody does the order at the end of the day or next week, they order these pots for you, because maybe I'm not going to work on this for a month, but I may want to order those pots now. Get them in here. Why wait? Why wait for a month? Order them now. So these are some decisions you can make. Let's pull them out of inventory. And you can do that by using the mouse, or if you just hit the enter key, it'll automatically go down. If you want to change a quantity, obviously you can change a quantity here and do that also. If you change your mind and you don't want to pull something, you just click it. The blue ones are going to go, the gray one's on. So, if you just click it again, it won't, it will, it won't. Okay. Now I want to have all these pots. Now I could have just said select all, but I just select them individually. I'm going to hit the escape key. I'm all done here. Keep in mind, when I hit escape, the blue ones are going to get pulled out of inventory. And that's exactly what the computer's telling me. It's saying, look, I'm going to go pull those pots out of inventory, so you really need to do the same thing. You need to go back to your inventory department and pull these pots out of inventory, obviously put them in a box that say this is for work order 719 right here. And let's go do that. So now, obviously it's checking, these are the pots that pulled out of inventory. It's just telling me, okay, these pots are inventory. Now, if you want, and you say, well, wait a minute, how am I going to remember what pots I need to pull? I don't want to write these things down. If you click over here, print packing slip. What that'll do, that'll just give you a printout of the pots that you should pull out of inventory, and it'll tell you the bin location of where they are. These pots don't have bin locations, so they're not there. So you may want to click on that. And there again, it's highly recommended that you take training in the pot system, so you'll know what these things are. So basically, now what we're going to hit here is save. That's all we did. We pull these out of inventory. I can actually pull more pots out of inventory if I wish, but that's all I want to do. And here's the job we did. So look what we did there. We actually picked the job that we did 5 months ago. It actually is going to take the exact same description that I used 5 months ago, because he wants us to do the exact same thing. Well, I don't have to type in any descriptions. Looks very professional. It actually went in and said, okay, here's the pots you're going to need for the job, because you know why? I looked them up 5 months ago. I don't want to look them up again. Also keep in mind, the computer automatically keeps track of all supersessions as well as price changes. Obviously, those pots might have increased in price. Maybe this job is going to be a little bit more money now, because obviously the pots might have increased. Also, if any of those pots were superseded, they're going to go to the newest numbers. So you don't have to worry about that. Even if you selected a job that was done 10 years ago, it's going to have the current price and whatever the newest number is. That number that you used 10 years ago might have been totally different than what you're using right now. So the computer takes care of all that for you. So that's kind of where you're going to be heading, obviously, to be able to just draw from history. Another thing that you're going to be able to do is we have a job code file, so that you can actually save jobs as you go along. If you worked on a particular job and you say, look, I'm going to be doing a lot of those, you can what we call clone it, so you don't have to just work on history of that one particular customer. You can actually look and say, okay, I've done that job for somebody else. I want to clone it because we're going to do lots of those jobs. And you know what? I only want to look the pots up once. I only want to type in a nice big description that makes me look professional once. So the next time I do that job, if I do that job 20 times in a season, I only typed it up once. I only looked up the pots once. It really reduces a lot of time. Also, we have the flat rate book for almost all the industries. We have it for the marine industry. We have it for the motorcycle industries. So, if you want more information about that, I recommend you call. But the flat rate books are basically exactly what they are. You click here, you pick the kind of job that you're looking to do. You're doing a tune-up, water pump, something like that. And it's just strictly the flat rate job. You pick it, and here's all the jobs. It basically gives you the exact time it should take. So if you're doing this job, we know that the flat rate book says it should take 1.7 hours. If the mechanic takes more, well, what's going on? That's what it's supposed to take. So there again, these things are also available. So there again, it really gets, as you use the system and start developing history, it just gets easier and easier. And let's just go back here and put in a new job, and we're just going to call it new job. And there again, if I hit the enter key, now if I just hit the enter key here, hit space, I'm just going to just type in whatever I want for a description, and here's my second job. I want to create a work order. It's basically telling me, when you see this message here, that basically is saying, hey, look it, pots have been selected. So you really should go out and pull them out of inventory. If you don't pull your pots out of inventory, the computer pulled them out of inventory. So if you had, say, 5 or something, now and you just told the computer that, hey, I'm taking those 5 and I'm putting them on this work order. Now, if you don't physically go back and pull them out, it's going to make it very confusing for your pots department, because they're going to be typing in that pot number and the computer's going to say you don't have any in stock. When they walk back there and they look in the box and they see 5, they're going to say, what's going on with this computer system? It says I don't have any. How come I have 5 sitting in the box? That's because the computer's telling you, I'm taking those 5 out of your inventory so you can't sell them to somebody else, because I'm allocating them to this work order. Now, obviously, what the computer will do now, because it thinks you don't have those anymore, if it sees that you need to order some more, it will automatically put it on an order for you. So that's what it's doing. If you don't want that to do that, then don't tell the computer to pull them out. Is my work order. Obviously, it was assigned the number 719, and our disclaimer and so forth. Okay, let's just go through that one more time. I'm going to give you a quick run through creating a brand new customer starting from scratch. Let's type in a telephone number again, and he's not out there, so I'm just going to hit the escape key. I know the customer's not out there. I just bought the software. None of my customers are out there. I'm going to hit the escape key. Yes, I want to add them. Okay, I want to add them to my main database, so everybody's going to have all this information. We already know what this here. I'm going to put in his name, new customer. Now, there again, maybe I'm in a hurry. Maybe I don't have time to put all this stuff in. Maybe what I'm going to do is give the customer a form to fill out when I'm done. All I want to do is create the work order, find out what he wants me to do, and then I'll have him fill out this piece of paper so somebody else can key all this stuff in, because I'm the service manager and I can't type. I'm a terrible typer. It takes me 10 minutes to do all this, where I can give it to somebody else and they can key it in 10 seconds. So all I'm going to do is put the customer's name, and maybe I want his email address, because I'm just telling him, look, when the job is done, you're going to get an email, so just keep checking your email. So we're going to put that in. And I'm just going to hit, F4 to add this in. Now my customer's in there. I'm all set. I'm hitting the Enter key. Yes, I want to do that. Is the information I put in. Okay, the customer doesn't know the VIN. I'll put that in later. And maybe we're just going to say that it's a Yamaha, and let's just say we'll say it's a motorcycle. And we're just going to say and there again, maybe all I'm going to do is put in a 03, and that's all I'm going to put in for now. And going to auto-generate a stock number. Okay, now we've put the customer information in. We put in the information about our product. There again, we may have a form that we're going to fill out to get more information later, because the customer doesn't know the VIN number. Maybe I'm going to give something to the mechanic the first time we work on a product that we've never worked on before, that basically has those things like, hey, get me the VIN number, get me all the information I want about the product so I can key it in. So the more information we have, the better job we can do supporting this customer. Okay. Now all I'm going to do is, there again, hit F5. What is it that you want me to do? Okay, check out my motor. And there again, what type of job it is. There again, like I said before, have your default set so you don't have to work as hard. Let's just do, quantity, and maybe I'm going to do 2. And we get $50 a tire, and maybe I wanted to say change tire. Well, I made a mistake, so why don't we do this here? And so I'm changing that to change tire. We got 2 of them at $50 each. And, and now if I want to put any description, there again, you put in as much or as little as you want. I'm going to hit F9. Okay, it's as simple as that. Print it out, F12. So what we did in just a few minutes here is we created, the customer information. We created as much as we knew about the product, and we just typed in what does he want us to do. It assigned a work order number, and we're ready to go. So that's how simple it is. If you just want to do a lookup and you hit the Enter key, there's everybody that's in my service department. everybody I've done work on. And there again, if you type in, you'd look at it by name. You can look at it by number. You can type in keyword. For example, if I know the registration number, or maybe I just know the name of somebody's boat, well, there it is right there. If I type in a registration number, it'll tell me exactly what it is. So keyword will find anything you want. So lookups are very, very powerful. Okay, now this is chapter 2. So we've gone over creating a work order, how to set up, put a brand new customer in. A couple things that we did there. We talked about the user-defined template. We talked about those option descriptions. Now I wanted to have you see where they were, and now show you how you can change those. Let's go into workstation and system options. Okay, first thing is those option descriptions. Well, right here, change options descriptions. Now you saw in that screen, and you saw when the work order printed out that it said option 1, option 2, option 3. I don't want it to say that. That doesn't mean anything to the customer, doesn't mean anything to me. So I want to hit the enter key. What do I want that to be? Well, now this is something that you got to think about. You may want to put it in uppercase or lowercase. So if you got it in caps lock, it's going to be in caps lock when it prints on the bill. It's going to be in caps lock when it prints anywhere. So you can basically type in whatever you want. Maybe I just want to type in registration number, or and there again, you can spell it right out. These fields are all going to be 15 characters long that you can put in. The descriptions are typically 15 characters. So you've got plenty of room to kind of say what you want to say. Maybe if it's a boat, maybe you want to call it boat name right here. So whatever you put here is going to show up on the screen and show up on a bill. And there again, keep in mind how you type it is how it's going to look. So what I recommend doing is, use lowercase, type in maybe the first letter with capitals. If you put them all as capitals, then that's what you're going to see. If you don't like the way it looks, just go back and change it. However you type it, exactly how it looks here is going to print out on the bill and on all your screens. It's as simple as that. You just define those screens to be what you want it to be rather than the computer making that decision. Okay, the next thing is your user-defined templates. Well, let's take a look at user-defined templates. User-defined templates, right here, create, change, RO, and VS. Well, what RO and VS means is that this template is shared. It is shared by both the unit system as well as the service package. So keep that in mind. Let's go here. And let's just take a look at what's in the system. We shipped the system with some examples. Obviously, you may want to clear them and change them. For example, I'm going to hit next. Here's one for boats that we saw. Now notice this is all white. These are field names that you can define. I have 3 pages of information. Basically, I have one for both. So if you want to change this, you can change it by just going here, typing in whatever you want to call that field, so that you can set up different templates. You can even have different templates for the same products. Maybe you want one for boats that are 20 to 30 feet, another one for boats that are bigger. Maybe for motorcycles, you want one just for touring bikes, maybe another one for dirt bikes, or maybe you don't need one at all. There again, these are things, some customers use them extensively, some customers don't use it at all. Typically on motorcycles, you may not need some of this stuff. You may not really care about keeping track of anything else. The whole point of this is to look at the system. If you look at a screen and say, you know what, it doesn't have all the information I want to keep track of. I need to know more. I need to be able to keep track of more. Then obviously you have that ability. In this case, like for example, I'm telling it I want to know where the person keeps it. I want to know the slip number. I want to know type props. And there again, it's different for each type of product. Here, if I do, there's one for boats. Here's one for cars. Here's one for motorcycles. Now this is overkill. Maybe you don't care what the size tires are on a motorcycle. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't care what the dry weight is. Maybe you do. But there again, everybody's different. What's great about this system is you can control how it works. You can keep it simple, or you can make it as complex as you want. That's your decision. Is an RV. Obviously, an RV has lots of information. There's 4 pages of information. And keep in mind, every one of these searchables is searchable. Also, there are keywords. And there again, in the documentation, you'll see the keywords like image. Image means I want to attach a picture of this product. Sometimes in service, people want to be able to attach pictures. You know, something comes in, it looks damaged, they'll take a picture and attach it right to the work order right away. So if somebody comes back and says, hey, what'd you guys do? Well, that was there already. Here's a picture of it. So there's keywords. Image is one where it means I want to attach a picture. Video is one I want to attach a video. Email is one where I want to email. So there are keywords that you can use that tell the system to treat that field differently. Now, if you want to create a brand new template, there again, you can use the ones that we have, or you can just create a brand one. You could give it a user-defined name. Now, that user-defined name is the name that you're going to put in your product file. So when you say this is whatever product it is, this is the template that I want you to read. So if we go in here and type in new, and I hit the enter key, and it's saying, okay, it's not in the system yet. We know that. And now maybe I want to call this whatever. Let's do this is just maybe we're going to call it a boat, or let's just call it a motorcycle. It doesn't really matter. And now you're going to define your fields one at a time. Now, keep in mind, using this screen, put a little thought into it first. The fields that you're going to use the most should be here on the left-hand side. The way the cursor goes when you're entering information in, it goes down this column, then flip over here and it'll go down this column, and then it'll go to the next page. So keep that in mind. What you probably want to do is the things that are used the most, because you don't want to be going here and here and here and here and here. The fields that you want to use the most, you want to put at the top. The ones that you only use infrequently, you put, further down, so you don't have to do a lot of navigation. And you just define your fields as much as you want, and you call them, whatever you want. There again. And these are going to show up on that screen. Now, if you want to string fields together, each one of these fields are 30 characters long. If you want to string them together, like for maybe I want an email address at work, and email addresses can be like up to 90 or 120 characters. Well, I can just say email, I don't know if I can spell it right. Now, email is a keyword, so it's going to know that that's an email address. But what I can do is say, you know what? This is a long field, and when you're typing this in, it automatically ties them all together. So it'll be all pretty much automated, and I'm just basically defining this field to say this is all one big field, and you're going to hit OK to add, and now that new template is in my system. And if I go in and tell it that I want to use this template new, and there again, how you would do that. This would be step number one, changing user template, creating new ones, or just changing the ones that are out there already. And then what you'd want to do is go into your product file, which we talked about in chapter 1. And let's do that, product file maintenance. And what I would do is to say, okay, I've got this new one that I have, and I want to use it for, let's just say, boat. And now I would make my product name called new. And I'd hit change. Now, when I go in and I create a work order and I say that it's a boat, that user-defined template will come up. Keep in mind, anything I put in there is searchable. So if I put in a type of radar and I typed in that model number, it's going to tell me everybody that has that. So each one of those fields are searchable. Also, those that we have options so that you can, when you're creating your own fields, you can basically say what fields you want printed on your bills. There may be fields that you create that you want printed on work orders, and maybe you want them printed on bills, and they could be separate. Maybe locations of products you want printed on a work order because that's what you use to have your mechanics go get the product. Maybe you don't need to have it printed on the bill. So there's many options and that you can use here. Okay, this pretty much concludes chapter 2. Level 1 of service. Play around with the system, and then we'll move on to chapter 3.